Okay, now I'm going to show you how to add doors and windows. I know my buildings are not complete, but I wanted to be able to make this recording and be able to show you so that way you would be ready to go. So I'm going to work with this second building that I drew that's smaller. I've changed where my camera is so that way you can see it right side up. It makes it a little bit easier, I've noticed. Okay, so I'm going to start off with doors. Remember, each building needs to have at least 2 doors. So I can see both sides of my building, so I'm going to draw a door on each side of my building. So what I need to do is I need to take one side at a time. So I'm going to take this side right here. I'm going to start with my vertical that is farthest from my vanishing point. Okay, so I'm going to line it up with my vertical that's farthest from my vanishing point, which happens to be the center vertical, the first vertical that I drew. I'm going to slide my ruler over a little bit, decide where I want my door. Now I'm going to draw a smaller vertical line. Remember last year we did talk about how big do things need to be? How big should our door be? What percentage of the building should it be? Okay, so think about things like that when you're adding your doors. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the top of that line that I just drew. You will remember this from one point perspective from me showing you how to add doors and windows to the side. Basically, we're going to do the same thing. So now I'm going to draw the top. It would be horizontal, but because it's going to the vanishing point and the angle with which it's going, it actually makes it a diagonal line, but that's okay. So I have the top of my door. Now I'm going to come back in. Again, I want a parallel line, so I'll line it back up. I will slide it back over to where my door ends, and I will draw the second vertical line of my door. Okay, now this is kind of a wide door, so I think I'm probably going to split this in two and make it into a double door, so that way it doesn't look quite as disproportional. But obviously, I mean, it's pencil, it's eraser, I haven't drawn my lines too dark. I could always go back and fix that and change it and make it a little skinnier if I wanted to. Okay, but I'm just going to add in some smaller details and say, hey, it's a double set of doors. So there's doors on one side. Okay, to make a door on the opposite side, fairly easy. Again, my vanishing point is over here. You can't really see it in the camera right now, but it is over off to my left hand side as I'm working on my paper. I'm going to line my ruler up with the farthest vanishing point, which just again happens to be that first vertical line that I drew. That's the one farthest from my vanishing point. I'm going to slide my ruler towards my vanishing point that I'm working with right now. I'm going to stop. I'm going to draw my shorter vertical line to make my door. It's not really even with the other one. They should be somewhat even. They should be about the same height. So I'm going to make it a little bit taller so they're about the same height. Line it up with my with the vanishing point. I'm going to draw my line to make the top of my door. Ooh, that's really big already. I'm going to erase some of that, make it a little shorter. And then, again, I want parallel, line it up with where it ends, and make my parallel vertical line. So there's my door. That one I think maybe I could have made a little bigger, and then I could have added the double door to it as well. But again, it's just pencil and eraser. I can erase that and fix that. But for right now, for today's purposes, I'm just going to leave it right there like it is. But that's something I'm going to think about altering for my finished product. Now I'm going to show you how to do windows. Windows are very similar to doors. Again, this is the same process we went through when we did one-point perspective for our windows. So I'm going to start again with my vertical line that is farthest from my vanishing point. So that will just depend on which side of the paper I'm working on. I'm going to line it up with the vertical line that I already have because it needs to be parallel. I'm going to slide it over. This I think is going to be an office building. So I'm going to start about right here. I'm going to draw the line for my window. This time I need to make the top and bottom horizontals because I don't have the bottom already established like with my door, which was the bottom of, which I just used as the bottom of my building. I'm going to draw the line towards the end of my building, move my ruler up to the top. I'm holding onto the other side. You can't really see that, but I'm holding onto the other side of my ruler near my vanishing point, so I can just slide my ruler or pivot my ruler so that way I don't have to physically pick it up and move it. Okay, so I have going towards the side of my building. Now I'm going to line my ruler back up with that first vertical line I drew, slide it to the end. How far do I want my windows to be? Think about how close windows are to the edge of buildings when you're doing this, okay? So now I have a big bar, okay? Maybe if this is some sort of office, not an office place, maybe it's not going to be a complex where lots of people would be working. Maybe it is some sort of storefront. I could use this bar right here and I could write the name of my favorite restaurant, the name of my establishment that I'm drawing right now. So if I was maybe making Starbucks, that's a popular one, especially amongst the girls, or maybe I was making Shields, that's another popular one amongst the boys. I could write that right there and have that be the label for my building. Okay, so you can use this step right here in a couple different ways to help you with labeling your buildings and also with drawing your windows. Okay, but for this purpose, I'm going to make these windows. So I'm going to line this up like this. I'm going to decide where I want to break my windows, not break them as in destroy them, but show that there is more than one window. This would be where measuring would come in handy, figuring out how long that line is and how many windows could you make and have it all nice and even. Okay, but I think I did a fairly good job. I could go back and fix it a little bit. I would do the same thing on this side, and this building, and my next buildings, and all of them. It's going to all be the same exact steps. It might look a little different depending on the relationship to your vanishing point, but those are the main steps to making windows and doors on the sides of the building in 2-point perspective.